Sorry about that, I'm back. I just had to do something really quickly, otherwise it would have interrupted my Facebook Live. Good evening, ladies. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Stephanie. I am your coach, your curator for this amazing group, Women Who Don't Drink. So new ladies, please go to the top of the page, and at the top of the page is a video, a welcome video that explains where everything is in the group page. There's so many resources in the files section to help you. I do Facebook Lives every Thursday. Sometimes I pop in and do more, but I always hopefully do one at least a week. So if you've got any questions, please ask. Is there anything you particularly want to know? Any experts you want me to get in, just let me know. I do forget, so keep reminding me. So I apologise, ladies, if you've asked for something and it hasn't happened. Feel free to harass me, it's okay. So today's Facebook Live is one of my favourite subjects that I could talk about forever, but I'm not going to because that would be boring. So, familiar, unfamiliar. It's such a great thing to be aware of on this journey. Particularly I find around drug use and alcohol use that this can be a thing. But it can actually help in many situations to be aware of this. So we talk familiar things, so habits, unconscious patterns, things that we just do that are familiar, like a comfortable slipper. Now, they may not be things that we want to do. They may not be things that we like. They may not be things that are good for us. I'm talking about habits, unconscious patterns, things that are familiar to us, the comfortable slipper. So driving a car, for instance, you know, when you first learn it's quite difficult, but then after some time it just becomes habit, it's unconscious. There's so many things going on, but you're not thinking about it, so it becomes very comfortable. Getting a bottle of wine every night, that can be a habit, you know, stopping at a shop, buying a bottle of wine, opening your wine and having that at a certain time. That can be a habit. Hanging out with certain friends, going to certain places, relationships. You know, like when we drive automatic cars, if we're used to driving manual cars, and the automatic car feels odd, it feels different because you're familiar with the manual car, you're not familiar with the automatic car. It's unfamiliar. You know, when we drive in a different country, it feels unfamiliar, okay? And we accept that. We accept that that's going to be different. Now, when we change things, it's going to be different, okay? Not for everyone, but for some people. So sometimes people, when they first stop, they really struggle with certain emotions, certain feelings, feeling uncomfortable in certain situations. What I would encourage you to do is reframe that and just think of it as being different. So a good example of this is socialising without alcohol. If you are someone that has always socialised with alcohol, when you stop, and this won't be the case for everyone, and you start going out, you might feel different, but it's unfamiliar, okay? So it's just reminding yourself that you are doing something in a different way. That you haven't done before. And I know to some people that might sound silly and think, well, maybe you're going to the same bar with the same friends and all you've done is take the alcohol away. But actually, alcohol is quite a powerful substance. So yes, it is going to feel very different without the aid of the social lubricant. Also, like in terms of abusive relationships as well, and I know it's a lot more complex than this, but sometimes people can get into a pattern of being with certain types of partners, you know, men that just aren't very nice to you or abusive, and actually that feels familiar to you, it feels comfortable. Now, I know a lot of people think, well, comfortable is a positive thing, and it might be for some people, but it doesn't have to be. It might just be that you're so used to that, you're so used to something being a certain way that you you really struggle when it's not like that, okay? So I really try and liken this to the comfortable slipper. And the comfortable slipper doesn't always have to be good. It doesn't have to always be a good thing. In fact, habit and conscious patterns, they don't discriminate. They don't care whether it's a good or a bad thing, okay? So think of it like this. So you've been going down a path, and you've been going down this path every day for however many years. And because of that, it's a well-trodden path, and it's very clear, and it's very easy for you to get down that path. But then you want to change it. So say you want to change your drinking, or you want to exercise more, or you want to eat more vegetables, or you want to get out and about. It could be absolutely anything. You want to meet some new people, you want to socialise in a different way, absolutely anything. Then what you're doing is you're going down a different path. So it's going to feel different, okay? It's going to feel unfamiliar, and that's okay, right? Don't want you to panic. So I want you to just be aware of this and notice this, and almost like if you notice this when you're out and about or something's happening, it's like, oh, what is that feeling? You just feel different, okay? It's unfamiliar because you're doing something in a different way that you're not used to doing it. Now, here's the thing. It's a through process, so you will feel different. It might feel odd because it's unfamiliar, but the more you do it, then it will become familiar, okay? So I want you to work through the different feeling, the unfamiliar feeling, and embrace it, okay? Be with it, knowing that you're making a good choice for you, knowing it will pass. You know, that's the one thing I can guarantee you, is that everything will change, okay? Your feelings will pass, and that the unfamiliar will become familiar, okay? So trust me, it will. So take, for instance, a lady who may have experienced a lot of anxiety, you know, she stopped drinking, and then she does some coaching around anxiety, and then, you know, anxiety isn't so much of an issue for her, and it's like, oh, I'm so used to being anxious, I don't know how to be, and actually it feels quite odd. And you know, it's working on those feelings of feeling okay, feeling content, feeling peace, feeling happy, whatever it is that she wants to feel. It feels different, it feels unfamiliar, and some people might think, well, why wouldn't she want to feel peace or content or happy? It's not that she doesn't want to, it's just that it feels unfamiliar. I'm going to say unfamiliar a lot. But that literally is what it is. So it's embracing the change, almost breathing through it and being with it and sitting with it, knowing that that unfamiliar feeling will change, and then the new thing will become familiar. And actually that's what you want, that's what you're working towards. Socialising with alcohol is a great example for that one. You know, the more you go down the new path, so you do the different thing in a different way, the easier it becomes, and it actually becomes familiar to do that. You know, like if you have got a history of relationships that haven't worked out well, where you've chosen or allowed men to behave a certain way with you, and then actually you meet someone because you're making a conscious decision about choosing a really good life partner, and they treat you with love and respect, and it's a very grown-up, measured relationship, that can actually feel really quite odd and quite different. And sometimes people struggle with that because they're not used to it, okay? Now they can work through it, and obviously we want somebody to embrace that. Why would we not want somebody to be a loving, respectful relationship? So you can work through it. I just want you to be aware of it. I want to give you a really good example of how this worked in my life. So I come from a background where as a teenager I partied a lot, which I loved, and that continued, you know, throughout my 20s. So partying, festivals, the underground dance scene was very much a part of my life. So it's very much a subculture, sort of an underground culture. You know, and that's where the majority of my friendships came from. That's what I did. So mostly I socialised under the influence. Most of my friends did as well, and that was very much part of my world. And when I started to not socialise in that way, oh my God, it was the oddest feeling ever. It took me a long time to really work through it, even down to socialising with people who, in my head, were what we called straight. So, you know, people who'd never taken drugs or people who weren't taking drugs, you know, how do I identify with them? How can I talk to them? You know, really sort of quite ridiculous stuff. But it was just about it being unfamiliar to me. I didn't know any of this then, and obviously I had to work through it all. You know, and just be really careful and be really present and be really aware, which is what I did. But it took me a long time to figure it out. I mean, I went with it and I went through it, obviously, and as you all know, I went partner dancing, and that's not about drinking or drug taking, and I met people and I had to learn how to connect with people without the aid of a substance, and I had to learn how to be with that uncomfortable feeling, that feeling different, you know, not identifying, learning how to connect, all that type of stuff. So I know exactly how it feels for things to feel unfamiliar, but then if you keep doing them, they will feel familiar. So what we want to do is we want to make good, healthy choices. We want to focus on putting new good things. Oh, lots of hands tonight, isn't there? We want to focus on putting new good things into our life, because what we want is we want you to be enjoying your life so much you're not even thinking about alcohol. I know for some of you that might seem like a bit of a stretch at the moment, but trust me, it is totally possible, that mindset shift, okay? And then what you might notice is when you're testing the water and doing different things like meeting new people, going to an evening class, joining a club, all that stuff, that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling, it's okay, it's just different, it's just unfamiliar. So be with it, okay? Trust it, embrace it, breathe through it, whatever you need to do to get through it, and then keep going, because it will feel familiar, and that's what we want, okay? So I hope you have found this useful. Any questions, please ask. And I will see you soon, ladies. Take care. Bye.